Bills and 49ers. The Bills are running all over the Niners right now as we speak. They're up 35-10 in
Oof.
Buffalo in the snow that just will not slack up at all. It continues to fall. The 49ers defense is quit. They've done that quite some time ago, a few weeks ago, a few games ago, I would say, but you can really see it tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was rumors that Fred Warner, or not so much a rumor, it actually finally came out. Fred Warner, for the past 9 weeks, and again, he was playing phenomenal football the first few weeks of the season, and people were like, "What happened to him? Is he burnt out? No, he's not burnt out. He's been playing with
He's
a
hurt.
fractured ankle for the past 9 weeks. That I don't even know how they didn't make injury report. I don't know if the Niners are not going to have some issues with the league at some point. I don't know, but it's been there's been words that have been reports. That has been made that they found out that Fred Warner has been playing with a somewhat fractured ankle for the past 9 weeks. So that he should sit it down. He should shut it down. The season is over with, officially after tonight. There's no need to continue to play Purdy. McCaffrey just left the game earlier. He's not coming back. That's the last of Bosa that we'll see this year. I said that as well when he went down. This is it for the Niners. I said it would be a bad year, and it is. 7-10 is what I predicted. They're about to go 5-7 right now. That's 7 losses down. Only 3 more to go for me to hopefully get what I've been looking for, and that's Kyle Shanahan's termination. Now, I know I'm not going to really get it. The Niners are invested in him with these long 6-year extensions that he keeps giving Kyle Shanahan for not winning championships and whatnot. So he's going to be there probably for another year. Maybe this is the offseason where they tell Kyle, hey man, look, this is it here. The tires are getting thin. We will replace these tires if need be. A lot of miles on it. We're not getting much out of it. But my question to you, Terrence, what I want to ask you, what do you think? Well, first, let me see if I can finally get your answer to what I've been asking you and Nick since Labor Day. Have the 49ers Super Bowl window closed? I'm going to let you answer that first before I ask the real question that should be asked next.
I'm still going to say no. Listen, I'm saying that because I saw a Ravens team in 2012, and you remember who I'd say this, the window wasn't closed, Jarvis, but it was literally like, your grandma was fussing because you left the window open, right? Like, you better close that thing down. That's how close it was. And they were able to muster up just enough of what they had to win a championship. So I'm saying that to say I think the 49ers still have enough to do that. The problem is I look at a game like today where they are supposed to be the more physical team. They're supposed to be, this physical defense. And they got manhandled by a Buffalo team that I've said for years is fake tough. They got manhandled in the snow. Now, I know that that's Buffalo's home stadium. They're supposed to have a home field advantage and all that, yada, yada, yada. But the 49ers, their identity is a team that plays tough football. Typically, that team has the advantage in the snow. Now, I don't know what happened today. If maybe they know that it's over with, they've got too many injuries, they got to make some moves, whatever the case may be. But the problem, I don't have a problem with how the season is going because they've had some injuries. I have a problem with them getting manhandled in the snow when they're supposed to be the more physical team. Something's not right about that.
So, did you give your explanation on why the Super Bowl window isn't closed, Terrence?
It's closing. It's not closed. To me, they still have enough talent to be able to win next year. They're not going to win this year. They're not doing anything this year. Mm-hmm. They'll still have enough talent.
Okay. So the next question that I'm going to ask you, I guess I know the answer to that already then. If the window isn't closed, then you definitely probably don't think it's time for the 49ers to blow this roster up and do a rebuild.
They don't have to do a rebuild, but they do have to move some pieces. It's a complicated thing with the 49ers because they never really addressed the quarterback situation. I don't think Purdy is the issue. I just don't think Purdy can lead a team. He can't be the centerpiece of a team, in my opinion. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to win them a Super Bowl. Yeah, but I
Correct.
don't think Kyle Shanahan will win them a Super Bowl either. So he's the main reason why I don't think he'll win.
So it's like, okay, if I had to make one move to start out, if I had to make one move just off season, first thing I'm going to do, I look into trading Deebo. But it's like Debo is such a fixture in that offense with the gadget plays they run. Like, how do you actually replace that? I just don't know if salary cap wise, because they got to pay Purdy, they got to pay some people. We talk about this, several episodes now. That's going to be their question: is how do they survive this salary cap nightmare they're about to be in? And if they're going to keep Purdy, I think they're going to have to get rid of somebody like a Debo. Then
Okay,
that's
so
where you're. Go ahead.
okay, so here we go. You said a lot you said a lot, Terrence, but to me, it was just like you were speaking in Chinese. I didn't really get any of it, and I say this because of this. I know this team from front to back, and I'm not
Yes,
trying
you
to
do.
say that you don't know what you're talking about right now, Terrence, but
Right.
I'm telling
I
you,
feel you.
when you say that you need to trade Debo, yes, you do. You ain't no probably to it. You should.
Yeah.
They won't be missing anything. That's why I was like rolling my eyes when you said that. What are you watching? Debo ain't did anything this year. He's not a gadget player anymore. The gadgets don't work. So yeah, now he's not even worth the trade. I mean, you're gonna try to trade him, but look, man, they should have traded Debo when I said trade him, and that was when they re-signed him. When they re-signed him, that's when they should have moved him. You would have got a lot more for him. But people were saying that was crazy. That was just 2 seasons ago. Now 2 seasons later, look what we're saying. Time to trade
Right.
him. Well, guess what? Nobody's gonna give you anything. They're not gonna give you much because, like, damn, we're watching and the production isn't there. I mean, you could talk about the offensive line that's poor, which is true. You could talk about the lack of the run game, which is kind of true, even though they didn't run it with the right people enough. You could talk about the defense that has been just straight up atrocious, which is true. But that all still falls back on the head coach, the final boss. He is the final boss if you're not talking about Jed York in San Francisco, Terrence. He really is. Because he calls all the shots. He put this roster together. He went all offseason telling us that the offensive line was fine, and it's not. Trent Williams is done. This is his last season. He's going to hang it up after this year.
Yeah.
He got his money for nothing. You got Brandon Ayuk, he got his money. He's on IR. Christian McCaffrey got a little raise. He's going right back to IR, I believe, after tonight. He'll shut it down. Nick Bosa, 32 per. He's on IR. He's not on IR, but he will be after tonight. These people will shut it down. And Greenlaw didn't come back at all this year, which he shouldn't. I could keep going on and on and on. What I'm trying to say is all of that money, you paid everybody and it got you nowhere.
Right.
This is the reason why, because of these expendable contracts, because of all of this money, these high-priced salary cap players that are on this roster and not playing on the field, and you didn't get much from them when they were on the field, they look old, they look slow. Same things I've been saying all along.
Right.
Everybody's tradable, Terrence, is what I'm trying to say. Everybody. It's time to blow this roster up. And the contracts have a lot to do with why you do it. There's no need in continuing to try to keep some of these Pro Bowl, future Hall of Fame players when you're not going anywhere with them, though. Because there's not enough depth. There's nothing or no one around those quality players. You know what I'm saying? To get good wins and to be able to go in these type of weather conditions in Buffalo like tonight and win. You can't do that without an offensive line. If you traded away Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel or George Kittle or Nick Bosa, I guarantee you can fix the offensive line after that. You have to do something to get the line better in the trenches and then the defensive line. It's poor. Nick Sorensen is terrible. I mean, the 49ers defense remind me so much of the Chargers under Brandon Staley. And I know Brandon Staley isn't the Niners DC, but he's there. He hired him. Shanahan hired him, and Nick Sorensen is the DC, but he kind of oversees everything on the defensive side, and this is what we see. A lot of close game losses and a few blowouts. And here's one of them again, back-to-back weeks, a blowout. This team is bad. I've been saying it all along, and it's time to blow it up because now that you know now, and again, I have been saying this was going to be a bad year and they were going to miss the postseason. Congratulations to all the 49er fans who finally realized it now. You're late as hell to the party, but you're here. Now that we're here, here's why it's time to blow it up and rebuild. If you come back with these quality players like Deebo and McCaffrey and Bosa and whoever else, minus Trent Williams, because I think this is it for him, then what? So you've got a handful of quality players, but then what? There's nothing else around it because all of the money is going to those players. Who can't be good if you can't build around it? You got to draft better, and it's time to go ahead and get what you can get from these guys now while you can. Get what you can get in sale. That's what the Niners should be doing right now. If they try to come back next year and say, well, we got Greenlaw coming back, maybe you do it, maybe you don't. Because it's a contract year for Dre Greenlaw. Somebody else who has to get paid. So, yeah, it's time for the Niners to blow this up. And the Buffalo Bills, they look like they could. And, again, it's a week-to-week league. And, you know, they change the narratives and the storylines on a weekly basis depending on what these teams do. But the Buffalo Bills do look like they could actually win the Super Bowl.
They look legit.
And get past. Yeah, they don't look like the soft team that you've normally said that they are.
No.
This doesn't look like the same team that your team beat the hell out of earlier this year.
That's correct.
So
I agree.
The Bills, after beating the Chiefs and what they're doing to my Niners tonight, and again, that's a injury-crippled Niners team, but still, you know, it's impressive. They did what they were supposed to do, and they did it in a blizzard. Now that we're done with the 49ers, and yes, if any Niner fan thinks that it's not time to blow it up, okay, we can debate it whenever you want to, but I would much prefer do it on this show, not just with our Twitter fingers. But please tell me in your comments how you feel about the Niners and if it's time for them to rebuild. And I definitely think it is. And Purdy, they don't have to pay Purdy. It doesn't. The more you play him, the worse his stock is looking. Also, if you continue to play him, you better shut him down too. And I would like to know what it is that's wrong with his shoulder. Because all I know is that it's a shoulder injury. It was bad enough to where he couldn't play last week. He could barely practice this week, but he played in the game. I think he was trying to keep this from looking as ugly as it still ended up looking. But just shut everything down now, Kyle. You're not going to get fired. I know you're not. I wish you would, but I know you're not. So just sit everybody down. Now, had he gotten Purdy hurt, like seriously, and it lingers over to next year or something like that, that probably would have got his ass up out of there. But other than that, if he can get these players out of here, the few healthy players that they got left, and if he can shut them down before they get hurt, then he'll be back. And I hate to say that because that means he'll be drafted again. And that means it won't be a great draft. Kyle Shanahan has, and for the people that's saying that Kyle Shanahan shouldn't be fired, and this is just a child knee-jerk reaction from myself and other people that are saying fire Kyle, he's missed on like 8 first-round picks. Not to mention a terrible Trey Lance draft pick that looks like the biggest bust of all time because that guy can't even play ahead of Cooper Rush. So how bad does that pick look?
Right.
These are all grounds for termination. Everything that we see now with the poor special teams play, the poor defensive players, what's his name? DeAndre Campbell or whatever his name is, he is trash. I mean, like, this is what you put on the football field, man.
I saw something that might catch your eye, though.
What's that?
I read earlier that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be looking to trade one Cousins next year. Don't be surprised.
Oh, I won't be surprised at all because nobody sold on Purdy 100%. We know I've told you how Kyle feels about Kirk and how Dad feels about Kirk.
Yes, you have.
And I went down it all. But would anybody be excited about that? I mean, the Falcons have went from 6-3 to 6-6 with 3 straight losses, and Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions today. Who would be crazy about acquiring that? But hey, man, look. Like I said in February in Las Vegas, the Niners blew their chances. That was it. You're going to have to blow this thing up and rebuild it again or retool it, reload it, whatever it is you want to call it. But I don't think reloading is even the problem. I think you sell everybody. Kittle and Bosa are probably the only two, that I'm not taking calls on unless you just blow me away. Who am I kidding? I would trade Nick Bosa in a heartbeat with that 32 per. I would love to get that off the books. I just would. And I would get a lot for him right now because it seems crazy to trade him. That's when you do it. If you can replace it with some good core D linemen in the middle. They're so thin there. Javon Hargrave was a terrible free agent signing. That's more money that I forgot to mention, and he's not playing. Yeah. He's done for the year with the tricep injury. So it's just bad. The Niners need to blow this thing up, but if they're going to reload and retool, Purdy cannot get what the market says he should get. And that's why I say up the market. Give him a good 45 per and call it a day. Call it a day.